back to another episode of Guitar Fundamentals on StichMethod. Before I begin, do this. Cool, that way I don't have to remind you. All right, so this is gonna be kind of a unique lesson for me. I'm just gonna take the approach that I'm gonna kind of have a student in front of me, and I wanna have like a loose conversation about how to find the hidden melodies in what you're doing. Now, this takes a little bit of like startup power with a little bit of theory. You might know this, you might not, so stick with it. And then we're gonna get into the easy development of it and how to like really start honing in on the solid ideas of music and how to create some melody. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is talk about major chords, minor chords, and seventh chords. If you are writing songs with these types of chords in them, then this should help you out. And what we need to do is start with the basic fundamentals, a major chord and a minor chord. Now, major chords and minor chords consist of 3 notes each, and those notes are known as triads. So you might hear somebody say like an A major triad. That's just an A major chord, You might hear somebody say an A minor triad. That's just an A minor chord. When we play these chords, yes, we are strumming 5 strings at a time, but they are the same 3 notes. And when we play a minor chord, it is the same 3 notes over and over again, but on 5 strings. So we're gonna start there. All right, so we want to understand what goes into these minor and major triads or chords. They consist of a root note. Now, they're numbered as an interval known as a number 1, all right? Then they consist of what's called a major third. And those major thirds, guess what? They're the number 3. And then there's a harmony note on top, kind of like a sandwich, okay? And that's the 5th. And that 5th, we're going to discover is a harmony note, but also has some potential. And so these chords, consist of 1s, 3s, and 5s. Now, knowing the role and what is important inside these chords is super important, so I want to get to that. If I play a D chord, you really want to say to yourself at this point what really you're playing. You're really playing a D major chord. And if I play a D minor chord, you want to say, okay, I'm playing a D minor chord. I say this all the time to my students. Whatever the last word is out of your mouth is the most important piece of that chord. And so when you look at this is a D major, and this has a major third. This is a D minor. This is a minor third. It is the only note between major and minor chords that moves. You can see here, D major is open 2, 3, 2. A D minor is open 2, 3, 1. And so the most important note to D major and D minor are the thirds. Everything else stays the same. They have a root note, they have a 5th, but that third either stays in the major position or goes flat 1 fret to a minor position. And they are quintessential to the flavor of the chords. And so again, whatever you say out loud is whatever you say last is the most important piece of that puzzle. Now that gives it the flavor. Let's talk about the other intervals, the root note. The 1, or the root note, is the grounding factor. It is home inside that chord. I can sit and play a D chord, and here's a D here, and here's another D here. And I can just strum these 3 strings. And there's not a lot of like movement. I know we hear the but really, we're home here. And now if I want to take it a step further, we're gonna look at those major thirds or minor thirds in a second. The thirds give the flavor of the chord, and some excitement. Listen to what happens when I go from strumming the D to this major third here. You can hear it's this brightness, like the major third is bright. As my friend Steve would say, it's like a springtime note. It sounds like springtime. All right, and so root notes are home, and we're going to discuss that a little bit further. The major thirds are the bright spots of it. Let's talk about major thirds and minor thirds. All right, the way you find them is very, very, very simple. And if you play a major version and a minor version of your chord, whatever note changes is your third. Major third, minor third, right? And so I can do the same thing with a D minor chord. If I have the root note, and I want to bring in some special flavor, you can hear that a minor third has a sadder, darker sound. So to be able to find major, minor thirds, if you like, well, I don't know which one is which, you play one version, A major, you play the other version, A minor, and whatever note changes. Oh look, that's second fret. Major third, minor third, right there. All right, and that's how easy it is to find these things. So I'll just do one more. Here is an E major, here's an E minor. See the note that's changing. This is your major third, which is a G sharp. This is your minor third, which is a G. So in able to find major and minors, you just got to play the major or the minor, and you can find the note that changes. Now I want to discuss to you the role of the fifth, all right? Now the fifth, even though it's a pure harmony note, all right, it also adds a good, we'll fly right here. It also adds a really good amount of tension. Believe it or not, these are kind of deceiving notes. Sometimes like you're like, oh, this sounds great. And sometimes you can hear the tension coming, and it depends on how you write it in. And so if I have a C chord here, I'll show you the whole thing right now, okay? Here's a C chord. Now to find the major third sometimes, it's like, okay, well, how do I play a C minor chord? And if you don't know how to play a C minor chord in open position, it's okay. Wherever a root note is, if you have a note that's one string back and one fret back as well, that's the major third. Here's a root note, and you can see one string over, one fret back goes to open. That's the major third. So C, so what note is that? Oh, that's the E, okay? E, great. So if I write a song, excuse me, and I have the C chord, and I just want to kind of go between C and C as like a grounding. And now I want to incorporate the major third. And now let's talk about that fifth. Well, how do you find the fifth? Well, there's two ways. You can use the power of deduction, saying, well, this is a 1, this is a 3. That must be my 5. Well, that's a G. Cool. You can do it like that. Or you can find whatever note you're playing, which is a C. You can find it on the E string, and you can say, okay, let's just play a power chord like that. Whatever note this is your fifth. So that's a C. You might have to go, okay, oh, that's a G. Cool. So where are my G's in here? Oh, G here. And that's pretty much it. But some people also add this G here. And so now, if I want to move this chord, okay, I'm going to kind of like stall my melody on this fifth here and change to another chord. Check this out. The fifth of the chord sets you up. It just does. And it's a really cool note to help move a melody if you need to. If you're having trouble finding a melody or moving a melody, usually the fifth note of the chord you're on really helps move that. And so I'm going to show this to you again. Now this helps, by the way, for writing riffs, writing like stuff inside of your chords, even vocal melodies. They're just kind of highlighting the special notes that you can connect together any which way you want. You can put them in any order you want, but it's just to help you like jumpstart. All right, so let's just do that one more time, but we're going to do it with a minor chord. We'll do a D minor chord. All right, so here's a D minor. Well, I want to find which one is the minor third. So I play the D major. Here's the D minor. Okay, so that's the minor third because that's the note that changed. All right, so let's see. I'm going to start my melody. Well, where's the root note? Sorry, here's my root note. This is a D. Well, that leaves this as the fifth. This is an A, but let's just make sure. So I have my flat third, the minor third, the root. I have my fifth, but let's just make sure about that. And so where's the D on the E string? Boom. Okay, there it is, 10th fret. Play the power chord. What note is that? That is an A. Okay, cool. So I have my F, I have my D, I have my A. That is my fifth. So how about I write something? I go right for the special note. I bring out that minor third. All right, so check this out. Now bring in the fifth. You can hear as soon as you hit that fifth, it wants to move. It almost like it was psychically there, which again brings me to the point when I am teaching, the last word out of your mouth when you were describing a chord, D major, D minor, E major, E minor, that major minor tells you what the most important note is, and you might want to go for it right away, all right, because that's the color of the chord. When I'm playing, believe it or not, if I'm playing, A7 sharp 11, the last thing out of my mouth, that sharp 11 is so important to the melody, otherwise the composer wouldn't need it. And so the idea is you want to know what chord you're playing in terms of what am I saying, you want to be able to find the note that makes it special, and you also want to know the roles of the other notes inside of it. Root notes are home. The thirds, major and minor, are the color. Major thirds are like springtime. Minor thirds are a little bit darker. And the fifth can be used as a pure harmony. It can also be used as a tension note to move to another chord. Hopefully, I'm doing okay. Now, I want to talk to you briefly. I'm sitting here going like, am I doing okay? I think I am. Just leave in the comments, you know, this is a very odd video for me just to sit here and kind of explain my thoughts. And so the next thing I want to talk about is the seventh chords. Now, when you're talking about seventh chords, you kind of want to know what makes them up. You have major seventh chords and minor seventh chords. And I have a video about me trying to understand how to think about seventh chords. Should be popping up somewhere right here. And the idea is if I'm playing an A major seventh, I want to say to myself, A major seventh. There's two words in there, major and seventh. And it's not just, here's an A major seven, by the way, 0, 2, 1, 2. You know, obviously this is an A chord, and this is an A major seven. And it's like, okay, well, that's obviously an important note because I'm saying A major seven. And that seven's the last word out of my mouth, but I also said major, so that major third, right? That's pretty cool, all right? So here, now if I write a song, I played the major third, I found that major seventh, and right before I moved, I kind of hit the 5 and it took me to another chord, whatever chord I wanted. And so when you're playing, hopefully this is all making sense, the most important piece of the chord is usually the last thing you say. And you want to know how to find it. You want to use the noggin, you want to use your fretboard, use YouTube, use charts. And if you write a chord progression that you like, there's hidden melodies. Now I want to talk about this. Does that make the melody complete? No. These are like little stepping stones. And you can sit, I'll show you, if I write something that's like D minor, you know, to C, I'm gonna do exactly what I did, and the notes I figure out are gonna be like stepping stones, and even if you don't know what scale to use, now you're gonna start humming and start listening, like what, and I'll show you exactly how it goes, all right? So let's say I have a D minor, as discussed, I have my minor third here, have my root, have my fifth, and then it's gonna go to a C. And I have my root, I have my root here, I have my major third here and here, I have my G here and a G here, which is the fifth. You don't have to think about this stuff when you're writing chord progressions. It's just if you need a kickstart in your melody. All right, so for the D minor, I'm gonna start on the root note and just bring it home, like just stay home. All right, and then I'm gonna bring in that minor third for the color. Okay, so I have my melody stepping stone was bam, 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 and then to the C chord. So instead of going, now I want to hum this, I want to figure it out. If I don't, say you don't know the scale, okay? Bam, bam, boom, boom, bam, bam, okay? Bam, bam. Yep. Boom, bam, bam, bam. Better. I used it as a framework. Boom, boom, boom. And you see on the C chord, here's my major third, here's that 5, you can hear the tension, back to where I started. Discover this stuff on your own. I really have no idea if you're following, or even if you're here, you might have turned this video off. But remember these things. Major and minor chords have root notes known as the 1. They have major thirds and minor thirds, which are the color of the chord. And so if you're playing a minor or a major, that third is a good note to start or have in your melody. The fifth is, it could be pure harmony. You can write it in a song, but it also creates movement. And when you're playing these with seventh chords, I'll do it with seventh chord in a second. Whatever's out of your mouth, D7, okay? D7, okay, I'm going to go for that 7. So check this out. I'm just gonna write something simple. G, C, and D7. We've played this before, but I'm gonna come up with a melody using exactly what I wanted to. or what I just taught. So I'm going to start on the G. Root notes are grounding, they're home. So I'm going to kind of strum only up to the G. To a C, and I'm really going to celebrate that major third of the C because we move this. You can hear the brightness. Back to the G. Sorry. Now for the D7, like that's the special note. So like, really. So this is just going to help you hear those hidden, gems of melody makers inside your chords. Please let me know if this made sense to you, if it helped you. I just sat here and talked for, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes just pretending I had a student in front of me kind of nodding their head. And so let me know. Thank you so much for being here. Check out my Guitar Fundamentals playlist. It has a ton of stuff on how to kind of create music with the simple ideas, and I'll stop talking. Bye-bye.